Okay. Hello, everyone. Hey, guys. So, hi, everyone. Welcome to the session. We're going to be talking about Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. My name is Julio Fabra. I head R&D in Santander, and I'm the chairman for the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance as well. I want to start by just going back to last year when we started this Enterprise Ethereum Alliance and just go back to explain why we did it and what it is. This comes back actually to Shanghai last year in DEF CON in Shanghai in September, I think it was. Looks like prehistory now. Ether was like $9, I think. So a little bit far away in time. And I remember at the time we were talking, there was a lot of corporate users, other banks and non-banks and so on, and we were talking about big opportunities to use Ethereum in enterprise settings, right? Ethereum and blockchain in general in enterprise settings. We were talking a lot about the cost savings that you could get. We're talking about the interactivity that you can get with all these blockchains and so on. And all of us were fiddling with the technology, right? I come from Santander, it's a big bank, but we were talking to other banks like, Fox from JP Morgan, Alice Batlin from UBS at the time that then went to Bank of New York, And we were all fiddling with this, and Ethereum was kind of the de facto standard, right? Because it was the platform that really worked. And Solidity was a standard as well. So it was great. But at the same time, it was not totally ready, let's say, to use it in enterprise settings. And all of us were just trying to solve a few basic problems. I remember myself, I was patching the calc difficulty function to get difficulty down, to get faster ledger times. And all of us were doing like bot shops like that as well. So JP Morgan was the only one that actually took this seriously and created Quorum, for which we are quite thankful. But all of us were talking about the same things, right? We needed more scalability. We needed more privacy. Privacy was very important, of course, for enterprise users. We needed more resiliency. And we also needed a little bit more easiness to use these things. So we said, hey, why don't we just get together and try to do this jointly? Because we're not really competing there, right? I mean, there's a huge community of Ethereum developers, and they're doing a great job putting together this technology, and we're not going to do any better. I mean, they're way better than us, right? So let's get together and let's foster this. Let's try to create the standards, and let's try to come up with the reference implementation so we can use them for all these applications that we're going to be building, right? So it was a great idea to do this thing we call co-opetition. So it was collaborating to then compete on top of those technologies that we wanted to help create. And also to share practices. And we very deliberately wanted to do it not in a consortium way. So we wanted to do it in an alliance way, in a non-for-profit vehicle. So we would not create commercial property. We really wanted to be like a place where we could go and openly collaborate and work together to then build things on top of that. And we started to talk. We spent a few months actually coming to New York a lot to try to put this together. And finally in February, we put together the first version of the Alliance, and we launched it. We set up these guiding principles. So first of all, it's at will, right? So the idea is to have self-forming teams with no top-down decisions and led by the members themselves. So it's all about collaboration and not about top-down impositions. The idea is to create the standards and not the products, not to create any commercial value, any things with commercial value. The idea is not to create a startup and then IPO it, right? That's not really the idea. And also, it was very important to do it on top of compatible technology, to do on top of Ethereum, not just trying to reinvent the wheel all the time, right? So the idea was to go over the existing standards and then collaborate a lot with the public Ethereum effort and trying to contribute as well, but to benefit from all these efforts. And always very inclusive and collaborative, so it's not competitive. Now, this was been the end of February, so we've had already like 2 months and a half. And and this thing doesn't work. So yeah, so at the time we launched, it was about 30 members. You may remember from the launch. It was the composition was good, right? It was big corporations, and it was a startups. Well, all the leading startups in the Ethereum world that were doing an outstanding job helping big corporations actually use Ethereum technology. As you can see, the group was a little bit geared towards finance, so it was few big banks over there, but not many companies in the corporate world that came out of the finance world. So today we're actually a lot more diverse. We've been able to onboard more than 80-something members, so we're already over 100 members, so it's 100 plus members. And it's actually great. Yeah, it's quite a ride to try to do this. There are more banks, so we've been able to get more banks from other geographies, like, for example, Mitsubishi's there. There's a lot of them, but there's also some companies that are not banks. So we're getting big names from the pharma industry. You can see Merck there. You can see Toyota is also there from the auto industry. You get Samsung. You get big system integrators. You have Infosys, Deloitte. I mean, there's a lot of them, and it's huge to see. I mean, it's really great to see all the enthusiasm that we're getting from all these corporate users. It's really amazing. And also we're getting as well many important small but very important startups in all this world as well. So this is really going down. Sorry. Okay. So in this past 2-3 months, we've been able to actually establish the structure and the initial operations. So now we're up and running. We've been able to create and organize and launch the first working groups. These are self-formed, so you can imagine that we have had to invest a lot of time to put together the governance structures to make this work, and we're still working on that. But now we have a technical working group with several tracks to create all these technical implementations and create all these reference implementations we can all use later on. That will include benchmarking and also operations. Benchmarking in the sense that we want to be very rigorous at comparing all these different blockchain technologies based on Ethereum in this case. I think we need a little bit of rigor when we compare these things, right? And also operations will be working on testnets. So, initially testnets, later on production nets, so we can actually share stuff between different corporate users, which is quite important. And now we have also sector-specific working groups like banking, like supply chain, well, things that are identity as well, and coming soon we'll be getting more in different sectors. And it's great to see all this philosophy about getting together and collaborating around that. As I said, we've been able to onboard more than 100 members, and we have a big backlog actually. It was difficult to get the initial operations going, so we could actually process all these membership agreements. And what is more important is that we're seeing a lot of enthusiasm around enterprise blockchain projects, and they are proliferating everywhere. We are seeing it from Santander, but there are also many other places. We're seeing, for example, country-specific efforts where you see big names, both corporates but also regulators and also public institutions getting to work together around these things. And we're seeing cross-sectorial efforts as well with banks and non-banks and regulators and other actors working together in all these settings. And they all want to start with permission networks and private networks. And it's great because they come to us and we do these things under the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance umbrella. So it's a great way to get started and then get the proper support and work there. And I will not spend a lot more time. Just the first check was to try to get going as soon as possible, and that's what we've been done in the past months. It's going to be great to see our first reference implementation to be ready as soon as possible. As you know, we have several emerging standards that we'll be working on. with the idea that everybody will be able to use them. Then big challenge will be to deploy our first permission testnet. And of course, it's very easy to create a testnet, but it's not so easy when that testnet actually has some nodes within the firewalls of different enterprise users. I mean, that's not as easy as it sounds, right? So it's a great challenge and will be a great success the day we do it. And hopefully do our first projects on top of that. So I would love to get you all on board. Andrew Keys over there is leading our membership drive. So Andrew and Vanessa over there. Any information you want, I mean, it's going to be great. We want to make this as inclusive as possible and get as many members as possible. And nothing else from my side. We're going to get a lot of updates from the different working groups and technical working groups and also others. I think it's going to be quite interesting. Thanks a lot.